Morning, you beautiful people. I have a ring to make today, as usual, and it's this one. But, excuse the pun, with a twist. It's a crossover ring in platinum, and we're going to inlay gold from an existing wedding band. If you're just starting out in jewelry, the shaping of this is going to be very interesting because it really is honestly just shaped out of a solid piece. There's no twist involved. Stick around and I'll show you what it looks like. So there's the ring, and the very first thing I'm going to do is to measure how wide it is, and I think it's about 3 millimeters, as you can see, and the thickness is just around 1.8. The platinum I've prepared will be thicker than that because we need to keep in consideration we're going to be filing and working this off, even the polishing, so we can't work on exact figures. So I've gone up to 1.85 by 3.3, and that gives me enough space to develop this piece of raw metal into this shape. We're not going to work on the sides because that's going to take away the width. We're not going to work on the thickness. We're just going to carve away the areas on the ring that needs to shape it. Let's start by getting this strip of platinum into a ring shape. What I've always used is a very old calculator. I've had this since I was in school, which is ridiculous. Got all the figures on there. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a size L, which is this one over here, obviously. It says 16.4. 16.4 basically means the inside diameter from there to there. But the length, if you just have to take 16.4 and times it by pi, does not include the thickness here. So we have a thickness to keep in mind to add to the 16.4. So I've got to go 16.4 plus 1.85. and that gives me 18.25. I'm going to times that by pi, and that would be the length to consider. I'm going to drop the 3 over there because I'm going to give it a bit of hammering. Seriously love these files. It has a sharp edge which is brilliant to get into corners with. This just works so great for guiding a file while putting your finger at the top. I should probably anneal this. Just remember that platinum does not react the same as gold or silver. It's got a higher melting point, so you can really get it to glow. I should have annealed it when I actually just finished rolling it. So essentially I'm going one step back now. And regarding getting it round, I'm hammering it right now on a triplet, and I'm bending it that way. You could just take the longer strip before you've actually cut the length, wrap it around to a smaller diameter and keep hammering it or stretching it up until it gets to L, and then cut it through. That's another way. And of course I have a video on ring bending that I was gifted from Pepe Tools in the States. That's the basic shape I'm sitting with. It's round enough for me now to put it into the ring compressor, and I'm going to squash it so that these two ends come together nicely. That's all I'm looking for. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a thin slither of platinum, insert it there. I'm going to pop this ring in the ultrasonic quickly just to get all the oil or whatever was on the tools off it, and then I'm going to melt the platinum onto the other platinum, so to create a joint which is completely seamless. There we go. That little plate of platinum I'll put in over there. I'll be heating this up until it gets to a melting point almost, and being thinner, as you can see it's quite thin, it's the thinnest I can get it, that will melt first, and as it hits the metal at the bottom it will fuse with the actual platinum, after which I'll turn it and do the other side. Effectively this ring will be completely sealed with platinum. There's no solder involved in it. to be just shy of L because I'm going to be working out the inside, cleaning it up. So I'm going to go to the bottom here, get my middle mark, and just give it a bit of a reverse cut and a single cut like that. Now I can transfer that to this side, and that way I've got my mark now to see where I have to reduce the center part here. I have to measure that thickness and reduce it from the center. There's a lot of movement on this, which this one doesn't have, and if that movement had to be transferred to this one, you'd probably find that the effect where this one looks a bit thicker will dissipate. But essentially, if you're looking at the edges, we have a drop down from a ridge. I can still go a little bit more on this edge here. We have the curve, and also where the curve meets, it's sort of rounded. So we have a bit of a rounding over there, and then it drops back into this. So the shape is now correct at the top for shaping. The other thing that I have is the bottom flattens out to a thinner point over here, essentially giving this curve over here a bit more movement. Now I still have to do that, but I'm contemplating on doing it after I actually add in the yellow gold. I'm busy splitting this ring for an inlay, and it has a shape that tapers to the bottom. So we're going to have a very slight little piece of gold at the bottom, but it's continuous. And then as it comes up the top here, it's going to have the little wall that it runs against here, and it will come to a point. So I'm considering the diamond setting on the other one that we are recreating, and there's a thinner line or a thinner appearance on this one side here, and a thicker line as a crossover. So I'm mimicking that at the moment, and then what I'll be doing is I'll be cutting out this metal, so to create an inlay path where I can then inlay a gold strip which I've prepared. That's the basic fit right there. From that point, just followed the curve. It gets in really thin over here and it comes all the way around this way. So I know that fits. You can probably fit a bit better, but what I'm going to do now is, because I know it fits, I'm going to take it out and I'll be starting from one point, soldering, and then compressing, filing, soldering, and carrying on as I'm going along, because any adjustments from this point onwards would be minimal. Then effectively we just have to round this area, flatten that area out a little bit so we get a little bit more of a flow with what's happening over here. But I'm inclined to actually keep it proud slightly because I actually quite like the way it divides it. I think we're getting close. That's the final product. So that's 18, well, I thought it was 18 karat, actually it's 9 karat. We did this because of sentimental purposes for the customer. It's a wedding band that they wanted to incorporate in the ring. It turned out to be 9 karat. 18 karat would have had a little bit more of a contrast between the platinum and the yellow gold, but hey ho, sentimental. I think that turned out quite nice. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Till next time, cheers.